September 29th, 2016. Passengers boarded Pascack Valley Line train number 1614 in Spring Valley, New York. Headed for Hoboken Terminal in New Jersey, the train left the station at around 7:23 a.m. For the passengers and crew aboard, it was just another morning rush. Nothing out of the ordinary. At 8:45 a.m., the train approached its destination. As passengers prepared to exit the locomotive, they realized that something was wrong. One eyewitness reported the train just never slowed down. As it failed to stop, the train collided with the wall of the terminal, sustaining heavy structural damage. Of the estimated 250 passengers on board, 114 were injured, and one unfortunately lost their life. Why did this happen? Two years later, federal safety investigators determined that the crash was most likely caused by the train operator's fatigue due to undiagnosed sleep apnea. While this is a sound explanation, at the time of the incident, the Hoboken train crash was shrouded in mystery.
Authorities have issued hazardous materials warning for the United States effective until September 29th, 2:16 Eastern Daylight Time. Commute on the train. Wait for further instructions.
The night before the crash, WKTV station in New York was interrupted by this emergency broadcast. While the alert was mysterious enough, viewers were left puzzled by the end of the message. Would you, could you, on a train, wait for further instructions? Also interesting, effective until September 29th, 2:16 a.m., just a few hours before the train departed from Spring Valley. Unsurprisingly, the broadcast quickly sparked online discussion. Televised the night before the Hoboken crash, it was definitely concerning. Because of this, the nature of the emergency alert was brought into question. Shortly after the alert was aired, WKTV would release a statement on their Twitter. If you were watching our 6 p.m. newscast, you saw a hazardous materials warning message. There is no such warning. It was a technical error. Yeah, something was missing from their statement. As you'd expect, no mention of the ominous Dr. Seuss quote sparked even more discussion. Explain the Dr. Seuss info. How does a technical error result in Dr. Seuss quotations? Hacked? Fine. But before the crash, explain. Why would it reference the train before it crashed? Something was going on. And the replies go on. Later that night, WKTV would release another statement, as there was a second alert. Update. Another warning message was sent out in error at 10:38 p.m. There is no emergency. This message originated from FEMA as a test and had the national location code in it. Tests should not have that code as it is automatically retransmitted. We have contacted New York State Broadcasters Association, who administers the emergency alert system in New York. We are working with FEMA to resolve this. Unfortunately, footage of the second alert might be considered lost media today. Nonetheless, their statement was still missing any mention of the ominous warning at the end of the message. As bizarre and unsettling as this was shaping up to be, we still had no real explanation. FEMA replied that they did not send this out. They will launch a full investigation into how their codes were hacked. WKTV seems to be the only target of this hack. For now, we have disabled the codes in our decoder that trigger this alert. If there is a real national alert, we will still receive it from the local radio stations we are assigned to monitor. WKTV will cooperate fully with FEMA, providing information about our hardware, software, and internet access, and will provide log files from our devices. This information will be helpful to FEMA to track down the source of this hack. The following morning, after the crash, a development. This update proved the alert was intentional, not an error. Once again, this new information only brought forward more questions. Theories began to take shape, and while there are far too many to analyze, most revolved around the idea that a third party hijacked the alert system to warn about the Hoboken train crash. Some went deeper though, and even entertained the idea that the hijacking was part of a plot to set the accident into motion. For days, countless Reddit and Twitter threads held efforts to make sense of the situation. Interestingly, while this case received a lot of attention, it was not the only strange occurrence at the time. YouTube clips started popping up, displaying other emergency alerts that appeared to be broadcasted in error. However, these were later found to be actual tests that were sent from FEMA. In spite of this, the alert containing the eerie Dr. Seuss quote was very much a hijacking, and entirely unique to WKTV station. With all of the details laid out, do we have a conclusion? Well, sort of. The week following the crash, an email was sent to FEMA from Snopes, as, like the rest of us, they took an interest in finding some answers. On October 4th, 2016, a representative from FEMA responded to the email. The EAS device installed at the TV station was configured to pull a test and development message aggregator instead of or in addition to the production message aggregator. Wednesday evening, a developer was testing his software and sent several messages into the test and development message aggregator, populating the message field with some Dr. Seuss lines. The developer never intended for the public to see his test message, and the TV station was unaware that its EAS device was monitoring a test environment. The EAS device was reconfigured, and the unsuspecting developer briefly lost his access to the test environment, while FEMA confirmed that there was no ill intent by any party. Although the mystery was seemingly solved, it still remains unclear how the Dr. Seuss quote made it into the broadcast. With the knowledge that the emergency alert system was hacked, the proximity of the broadcast and the crash, paired with unthinkable timing, coincidence wasn't the best explanation for many watching the story develop. All roads lead back to the phrase, would you, could you, on a train. Today, it has been years since investigators concluded that the tragedy that took place in Hoboken was simply a freak accident. While no concrete evidence of foul play exists, the confusion behind the incident, as well as the WKTV broadcast, still lingers. At the end of the day, it isn't unlikely the events we discussed were pure coincidence, even as many believe there remains an unsolved mystery. Thanks so much for watching.